To join us first, Bill Warner has been a university professor, a businessman. He has been a physics researcher, but he has lately pursued his passion to understand Islam and, more importantly, to make sure others have the capacity to understand what Islam is. He has become the director of the Center for the Study of Political Islam. He's an international speaker about Islamic political doctrine. He's produced dozens of books, many are outside here, including a Quran, the biography of Muhammad, and a summary of the political traditions of Muhammad. He will speak tonight on giving you an understanding on what Sharia is and what political Islam has been in history and what it is at this very moment.
Well, I got a phone call this morning from a neighbor, and the neighbor said, Bill, you're in the Tennessean again. These are not good words. They don't like me. But she brought the article over, and I was amazed. There was a part of the article that I actually agreed with, the title. They were writing about Sam and Garrett and me. But what they said in particular about Sam and Gert is that we do not need outside agitators defining American values. And I went, you got that right. And now you see, they were talking about Sam and Gert's zip code. But you see, Sam, Gert, and I are all neighbors because we live in the same civilization. You see, we live in a civilization that has two key principles. The first principle is the golden rule. The second principle is critical thought. And from these we derive our most powerful political principle, freedom. Now that seems pretty obvious, but there's another civilization which is trying to define our values, and I must say has successfully defined values for a lot of people for over 1,400 years. But the principles of Islam are submission and dualism, which I'm going to talk to you a little about tonight. And from the principles of submission and dualism, they derive their fundamental social principle of slavery. So we have one civilization based on the concept of human beings as free, and another civilization based on the concepts of slavery. So you're right. I do not want outside agitators determining my values. Now, when I actually read the article, it was the usual. We had the morals police, the protectors of virtue. And what we had in the article was that they're protecting our virtue by declaring that people like me, Sam, and Garrett are immoral. All right, we're bigots, we're haters. But you know, that's not quite the way it works, because we do have morals and we do have principles. As a matter of fact, we have good ones. But I want to talk to you about the fact that this piece was mostly comprised of opinion. And we don't need opinions, because opinions are a little bit like elbows in that at least everybody's got at least two of them. What we need are facts, but the most consistent message that we are delivered by the media is there are no really facts about Islam. There are merely opinions, and we're told to listen to the opinion of this professor or this imam or this person on some TV station. We can't do business like that. I'm a trained scientist, and I like facts. As a matter of fact, I thought for a little refreshing view, what we might do briefly here today was I would teach you a little bit about some of the facts, that's spelled F-A-C-T, of Islam. Now, in a moment, you may get a little unsettled in your seat because we're going to have a slide, and on this slide are some numbers. But before we get to the numbers, I want to explain to you why there will never be an agreement between the people in the media and me. And that's this. I want to tell you a little story from Muhammad's life. This is well documented. There was a day in the city of Medina when Muhammad sat next to his now 12-year-old wife, consummated at 9, and they watched as the heads of 800 male Jews were removed. The women had already been sold into slavery, and the children adopted into Muslim families. Now, this is a fact. Every Muslim agrees with this, but it defines something which are the 3 different views of Islam. You see, there's the first view of Islam, and that is by Muslims, and that this was a wonderful day of complete triumph because the Jews had denied the prophethood of Muhammad. And for this, they paid the ultimate price. For their own intellectual freedom, they were murdered. Now, the 3 views are this. For the Muslim, this was a day of triumph because now Medina was Judenrein, freed of Jews. Because when Muhammad got there, it was half Jewish. But on that day, Islam was triumphant. Now, there's another view, which is the view of mine. I am a kafir, K-A-F-I-R, a non-believer. And from my point of view on this day, it was a tragedy. This was an act of evil. This was a war crime. But there's a third view, which is the most common view we find in the media. And that view is this. That was then, this is now, we don't need to be judgmental, and the West and Christians have done worse. So there you have the 3 different views. Now notice something. These will never line up. So this means that people in the media who are apologists for Islam will forever disagree with those who are kafirs and who actually know some of the facts of Islam. Now, I want to take just 1 or 2 moments here to show you some facts. The first slide. Now, it's a bar chart. Don't panic. This is actually pretty easy. When you think about Islam, you think it's about how to be a Muslim, right? But take a look at this. This says that 64% of the Quran is about the kafir. Not how to be a Muslim, but it's about you and me. Now we're going to introduce 2 new words, the hadith, which are the traditions of Muhammad, and 37% of them are about us. But then last, in the biography of Muhammad, this is astounding. 81% of the official biography of Muhammad is about us, what to do to us, how to treat us. So you see, when we're dealing with Islam, and they seem so skillful when they first meet in playing us, there's a reason. They have an operational manual. They've been working from this operational manual for 1,400 years, and it keeps working. Now I want to teach you one other little precious fact here. Next slide. You've been told 2 lies about Islam. The first lie is that it is a religion. It is a complete civilization. And since so much of it deals with kafirs, it's mostly about politics, because you see, we're not involved in Islam. We're totally outside of it. So this is Islam's political nature. Okay, here's the take home. 86% of the Islamic sacred texts are about Muhammad, not Allah. Islam is mostly about Muhammad. Next slide. This is Muhammad's success curve. I'm a scientist, I love curves. But look at this one closely. This says that Muhammad preached the religion of Islam for 13 years and got 150 people to join up with him. He went to Medina, where he became a jihadist and a politician, and we have a successful formula. Very successful. When Muhammad died, there was not a single enemy left standing. The religion, if that's all he had practiced, would have resulted in about 300 to 600 people being Muslims when he died. Now think about what I'm telling you here. Islam is primarily a political system. And again, when we see Islam and it comes into our society and it plays us like fools, there's a reason for this. They've got a manual. And we don't have a manual. We're having to develop one as we go on. I am suggesting that facts are the way to go about dealing with Islam. This is an ideological war. It is a war between two civilizations. And we will not win this war with bombs and bullets. We will win this war by the use of our minds. We will win this war by the use of critical thought. Now, some things here. How many times have you heard this thing? Well, that's not the real Islam. Or that's extreme Islam. Oh, bin Laden was a radical. Let me tell you something. Muhammad defines normalcy. Muhammad defines what it means to be moderate. If you are a Muslim and you are doing what Muhammad said, you are being moderate. These are facts we're going to have to learn to deal with, because we are going to have to engage Islam, not in opinions. We do not need opinion-based reasoning. We need fact-based reasoning. And we need people who will stand up, not for the oppressors, but for the victims. And what Sam and Garrett and I do is to stand up for the victims of Islam, and we oppose the oppressors. So I ask you to join me, Sam, and Garrett in an ideological war. And this war is crucial. This war was failed in Turkey, which used to be Christian and is now Muslim. This war was lost in Iraq, which used to be Christian. This war was lost in Egypt, North Africa. This war has been lost again and again. It's here, it's now. And we have to prepare for a war. But it's really easy, because you see, once you know the facts of Islam, you discover something. It is not that Islam is so strong, but we are ignorant, afraid, disorganized, and consequently weak. We can overcome this. This is very doable. I invite you again to join me, Garrett, and Sam. Thank you.